Hello YouTube, welcome to my channel. My name's Tony and today we're gonna talk about Leetcode. And I remember several years ago when I started doing Leetcode and there are only less than 500 problems right here. And now they have 1,500 plus problems. And this might be intimidating for the beginner. And in this video, we're gonna talk about how we tackle this and get less intimidated. Okay, so let's start it. In my last video, I discussed about a couple courses from Stanford, and they talk about the structured algorithms. So by the time you finish those courses, and you should start doing lead code. And here's how I would start it, right? And there are a couple steps, and the step one is if you check the tags, and you always want to do the solve the problem by tags. And so by the time you finish those Stanford courses, you should recognize some of the tags right here. For example, dynamic programming. I think the course is discussed about the knapsack problems or the longest common subsequence, or those problems are the subtype for dynamic programming. But there are actually 6 types of dynamic programming, so the course is definitely not enough. So by the time you start like solving those problems, you understand there are much more than the things we learn from the courses. And DFS can be on top of string, can be on top of like array, and top of the float field, and there are just so many variations for DFS. A lot of DFS problem can be also be solved by unified or BFS, and sometimes some problem can have the optimal solution for BFS, and when you're finding the shortest path. And a lot of the problem can be solved in the multiple ways, but fortunately we already learned the basics. But one of the unfortunate thing about the courses is that they didn't cover everything, because there are school courses that are not professional to trying to solve like the problems. They are teaching you the fundamentals. And for example, sliding window wasn't covered by the course. Sometimes they cover segmentary, but in the Stanford courses, I think they didn't cover that. And also we have the geometry problem. Sweep line is one of the good topic to cover as well. So especially for the calendar problem, so those can be solved by sweep line. Those are categorized by topics and BST. Okay, so you can tell there's a lot of the different topics, and especially for DP or string, there are just so many problems right there. And for those 240 problem in the DP, so like they have different topics. So the reason I want to make this video is actually I want to do a self promotion for myself as well, because I personally summarize all those problems into different categories already. So if you follow my video, and then I'll start like making those videos to discuss about the details of how we categorize those topics into a list. So I personally have a study group, so we have about 450 members in my study group, and we solve one problem every day. And as time goes by, that we start having some feelings about those problems. And for example, that we choose a topic every single week, and we start solving those in per week. And if you can solve like those problem in aggregate way. So for example, in one week we only focus on sliding window, another week we want to focus on one type of DP, and by the time you finish all the 7 problem per week, and you'll have deep understanding because you solve them in a row. And those templates, those strategy will carve in your mind, and that's how I will make my video. My video will be based on topics, and each topic will cover similar type of problems. I already made one, so you can have a light taste on that. Is, for example, this is the list, the first video I made. So this is one of my favorite topic, because they all have the exact same pattern to solve the problem, to pick the winner. Like I mentioned in the video, is almost identical to the Stone Game 1. So please go ahead and check my video about the min-max problems, but there are much more than that actually. So for example, we have the next greater elements, and it's very similar to online stock spank and daily temperature. They're just similar type. They both are using the monotonic stack and to tracking the next greater or next smaller elements, and there are similar patterns. And basic calculator 1 2 3, they're also similar. And if you check the number of the atoms, and it's very similar to basic calculator 2. So this is actually my suggestion. So start by solving the problem in the same topic. And if you never summarized that before, so start the problem in the same uh tags. For example, solve everything in the tree, solve like 10 problem in the tree or 20 problem in the tree, and move on to next tag. And do not start with numbers. You will be lost in the meanwhile, and each problem will have different strategy. You will be intimidated. You're lost in the meanwhile, and because there are so many strategies and so many niche and so many details in each problem. So if you start like with the numbers, I guarantee you're not able to finish everything. So that's what I did. The mistake I made it before. So I started with numbers and eventually got lost. And I eventually got out by solving by tags. And by the time you finish a lot, for example, 1,000 problems, you'll get some patterns. You'll see the similar problems, especially binary search. And I do see like the Coco eat banana or and the 410, and they all have like a similar approach to solving the problems. And yeah, so in my channel, and I'll summarize those problems in a row, and I already did for some of them. So I'll start like making the summarization for more of them, and knapsack and DP like that. Yeah, so this is the purpose for my video, and then hopefully my video will help you in the future. And if you have any question, please don't hesitate to comment below, and then I'll see you in the next video.